Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Radio Silent Plate Trading on this Monday, August 2nd, 2021. Let me just start off with a brief disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. Anything that I say or mention is for educational purposes only. I may or may not hold some of the stocks that I mentioned. Please remember to do your own research before trading any stock or options. Trading stocks and options require lots of risk. So, we're going to continue our CEO spaces. We're going to have Mr. Lawrence Adams, CEO of ticker symbol GDET and also IMTL. So GDET and IMTL both trade on the OTC markets, and if you look at both these stocks, they're trading quite favorably. As many of you guys know, I'm very, very bullish on crypto. I'm very, very bullish on blockchain technology. This pullback that we just got gave us a good opportunity to find good quality, low share structure stocks that are going to give us great risk to reward ratio, right? We like to trade the math. Now let's talk a little bit about Ethereum. So these two companies deal with crypto, right? And primarily IMTL deals with NFTs. NFTs fall under the Ethereum because they're basically a technology that falls under the ERC20. Basically, a NFT is a non-fungible token. Now, what that does is the technology to eliminate the middleman, right? So if you're creating music, if you're creating videos, gaming, NFTs are being used. And not only that, now what we're shifting over to is potential loans, potential collaterals. So there's a lot in this technology that's going to kind of flourish and kind of be the technology that many people are going to institute in their businesses. So Ethereum was in the news a couple of days ago, and this was on July 21st. Ethereum prices rose after Elon Musk confirmed he owned the cryptocurrency. And when we saw this, Ethereum rallied 12% up. Remember what I said? It's the driver of what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin shortly after bounced off that 29,000 low, which we tested at 28,700, and we're seeing Bitcoin reverse. I'm just going to go over a really quick kind of just an overview of what Ethereum is doing on the daily chart. So right now, I like Ethereum the best. It's probably the most bullish crypto that there is right now. We had Ethereum break above the 200-day moving average, which was 2,153. Clear break from that low of 1,700. And now you're seeing a strong channel up on the 8-day moving average. The last move that we saw from the highs of Ethereum was 4,400. And why is this very, very important? Because what we tend to kind of notice and see is that when Ethereum rallies, Bitcoin basically follows it, right? It's almost like a leading indicator or a slash barometer. So why is this important? Because NFTs deal with Ethereum. If you look at NFT game developer, all right, they actually made this thing called CryptoPunk, right? And they offered 90 million for this CryptoPunk NFT. So this, to me, gives us the balance of opportunities for these NFT stocks to be really, really kind of favorable, especially if you start seeing Ethereum break 4,400, you see Bitcoin break above 64,500. We have a 61.8% extension, which is a Fibonacci extension, to 110,000. Now I ask you guys that are listening, if Bitcoin gets to 110, if, let's say, Ethereum gets to 6,500, do you think stocks like IMTL, stocks like GDET are going to be staying at the same level? I think no. Okay? Especially when you're seeing people bid up to $90 million for a CryptoPunk NFT. Okay? So if I look at the GDET, it hasn't closed below the 200 moving average since about mid-January, which was trading about 0007. We hit a high of 0.0048 on the GDET. I'm sorry. GDET has not closed below the 200-day moving average since mid-January. It's trading at 21, and today we confirmed, I guess in anticipation for this meeting, we closed above the 8-day moving average. We had a recent high of about 0.0048. You got a 1.8% extension. I'm going to say somewhere around that 0.006 level. This is a stock, GDET, that basically does, and they're working on a proprietary credit card, right? That's double-sided. It's called a Dream Card, and it has a fiat currency side and it has a crypto side. They actually mentioned MGM Grant, so we'll ask him a little bit about that if you can kind of talk to us a little bit about that. Beauty of this stock is that favorable share structure, 5 billion AS, pink current, so we don't have to worry about any filings. They're fully current. And outstanding shares is 4.4 billion, and we have unrestricted shares at 4.3 billion. So trading very, very well, and traded and closed above the 8-day moving average today. Now, IMTL is the NFT, and also they have an OTC market cap wire that's basically equivalent to an OTC wire or pink wire. I got to ask them today because I'm not too sure. But they're almost like the Benzinga of OTC as far as news releases, which that's exciting, especially when you see them retweet you. It's exciting to me because I like to see that they're very, very proactive with getting information to people. It's part of trading, right? So it's something that I want to see what they're going to come up with, especially for traders. You got a MACD from negative to positive, bullish divergence. Again, the stock has not closed below the 200-day moving average since, I'm going to say, January, and it's trading at 0.0043. So right now, IMTL, if I look at the OTC markets, I come over here and I look at what they're doing. I'm going to come over here, just bear with me. I like stocks that are trading below 5 billion. They currently have 6.5 billion. So it's almost at that threshold. You know, I'll give them a little bit. Outstanding shares, 3.9 billion, and unrestricted shares is 3.6 billion. So it has the shield right next to it. So that means that it's basically automatically done every month, pink current and verified since March 2021. Okay, so let me see if we get one of the guys on here. Let's request.
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Perfect. I can hear you loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Thank you.
First off, I just want to thank you for joining us. Currently, we have the CEO of ticker symbol GDET and also IMTL, Image Protect, and also GD Entertainment, Mr. Lawrence Adams. I first want to thank you for joining us today. If you could just tell us a little bit about yourself before we start our questions.
Sure. So thank you and thank all the listeners, and really appreciate all the support and help we get from our shareholders. And I've been in the microcap space for about 25 years. I know all aspects. I was introduced into the market as due diligence research, which I think is a really in-depth, great way to enter the market because we always have a critical eye. I was dependent on large funds to do due diligence and look over large mergers and acquisitions. I learned what an acquisition was exactly. I learned what a merger of two corporations was, how it was done, how the legalese worked, how it worked for the shareholders, and also how to look at the due diligence and what assets were true and correct and what liabilities were true and correct. And then I began to work with small microcap companies on assisting them on capital requirements. Due to the fact that I had a good relationship with large funds that were active, just seemed to be a natural for me. After 9/11, I sat in an office building for a year pitching deals to large venture capital firms and large investment banks. Didn't make much money, but I learned a lot. and built a good book and really understood and developed good relationships with good funds, learned who does what out there, how capital is required, what they look for, what they like, and what they don't like. And in that process, I learned how incredible Americans and all across, the globe, entrepreneurs can be. And it really caught me, and I was really amazed by all the concepts and the ideas. And once upon a time, we all listened to a tape deck, and once upon a time, we all had dial phones, and to see how technology has changed the world. And in our business, we always have the opportunity to forward look. And some of the things, that cross desks and people talk about in certain circles won't even be here for another 8 or 9 or 10 years, but they're being funded today. And we try, I try to be as forward looking as possible. And where will we be down the road? And what will work down the road? And having said that, I sit in the perch that I sit in now with Image Protect and GDET as well. So you can pick it up from there.
Understood. And one of the things that you talked about is technologies. And you talked about the phone. You talked about basically how people did business in the past. And what we're talking about now is basically the future. You're seeing a lot of people, the likes of Warren Buffett, among others, that are very skeptical about blockchain technology and also crypto. So what made you, because you're telling me that you used to work out of Wall Street a long time ago, what are you seeing and what made you get into the sector of blockchain crypto technology? Because it seems like it's a big part of the platform with IMTL and GDET. If you could kind of talk to us about that.
Sure. So I'm a believer in blockchain. I'm a believer in crypto. I believe it's here to stay. And as we've seen in the last 12 months, PayPal, it's going mainstream. Many banks are jumping into it. It is an alternative form. While it's new and it's got things to get worked out, I believe that it's here to stay, and we're betting on that fact. But let me speak about the companies and what we're doing. We're currently doing NFTs. We are contacting, what we try to do and what we believe is that we can capture an impactful moment of something in history having to do with an artist that could be here and test, the test of time 100 years from now, 50 years from now, 25 years from now, will still be here. I can go to Kmart, Walmart, and I can buy a piece of art and I can put it on my living room wall, and in the course of 2 months, 30, 40 people will see it. Digital art, it goes viral, 2 million people will see it, like in 2 days. Also, we're capturing artists in the creation of a record or an album while they're doing it. Where will that artist be in 25 years? What's his legacy going to be? Maybe in 50 years.
Right.
An NFT will be there. They may be dead and gone. Their career may be booming. They might still be around. But that image and that, that action of the creation of that album or record digitally that the individual auction owner owns will be his and his alone to do whatever they want with. They can sell it, they can pass it down, but who knows what? If you had a video of Elvis Presley singing in his living room when he was 12 years old, or you had a good video of Biggie Smalls in Brooklyn,
right,
before everyone knew who he was in a video, and you went to market to sell it, what would it be worth right now?
Right, exactly.
So the world may be different with music. It may warp into something, but all I know is that the NFTs that we're making today, especially with the artists, will be here 50 years from now, 100 years from now, way down the road. So we're trying to create that. We're trying to capture that. And we think for the fan base, it's a very exciting dynamic to have.
And I definitely see you with your connections. I noticed that you brought on a couple of stars. You brought in Mr. Jim Jones, famous rapper, several years in the business. How do you make these connections with these guys?
Okay, so that's very simple. That's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't go to Hollywood parties. I don't have big connections. I have a vision and a dream. And an individual out there connected with me and said, I get it. I get it. And we went to a couple, labels. We've had talks with, Atlantic Records and, this one or that one. And they get it. And think about it, okay? You're in Atlantic Records. You've got a guy who's about to launch an album. If we simultaneously, so I come along and I say, well, I have a vision. How about this? We create NFTs of that artist making, and the struggles and the trials and tribulations that they all go through in the creation of that album, and we simultaneously launch the album with the NFT.
Wow.
I pay my marketing side, he pays, the label pays their side, and it's a win-win for both parties. And if I had the chance to see, John Lennon struggling with the words of Imagine when he was creating a song in the studio, how much would that be worth today? Who knows? Who knows? All I know is it's a model, and they're getting it. It's a vision. We put it out there, and they're getting it. So I put the worm in the water, and the fish are biting it because it makes sense. And that's my connection. That's how I got them.
Can you briefly discuss a little bit of your Legends NFTs? And I know
Sure.
I know you mentioned you have a couple of photographers that are working under your helm, and just talk a little bit about celebrities,
Who they are and what they are. Sure.
Please.
So yeah, Idris Elba is a celebrity photographer. He's, you can go to idriselba.com and we all can see the images from, he gets contracted. He works for many of the studios. He's very comfortable. And Gabriel DeSantis, he's in Toronto. He is a major, fashion photographer. He's very edgy. He's got lots of creations. He's actually created a 3D NFT. Nobody has that.
Right.
We'll be able to present the world with a 3D room with our NFTs in frames, and there'll be a curator. You can walk you through the space and identify and see the 3Ds. I mean, really edgy, cool kind of looks, that nobody's doing. So we're really excited. We're very fortunate because not only is Idris Elba a highly, highly talented, skilled photographer, he's all in on what we're doing. He just loves it.
Right.
And, he is part of the team. So when we signed, why did Jim Jones jump on? Well, he saw the team, he saw the representation. We had long talks with Idris, his manager, and he saw that what we bring to the table. And our intent is to bring the best of the artists out, and I think that's, why Idris and Gabriel are so gifted and why they work so well.
Right, and I'm seeing that you guys are also kind of getting involved in the specialty sports cards. I think that was the last post that you guys posted, and you posted actually basically an NFT or a card of Floyd Mayweather.
And that's correct, and we have another one coming out. As everybody knows, there's other sports figures on our site, and we're creating playing cards for those. And why are we doing that? Because we're marketing directly to large sport venues, and it's unique, and it's kind of how the some of the football Gronkowski's he did those that way, and we're mirroring the market, so to speak.
Right.
But yes, and we may do that for we have plans to test those out for our hip hop performers, but make them a genre of hip hop and kind of like not sports, but to their venue. Yeah, we think they're slick, they can move, and that's why we're moving in that direction as well.
Right, I think it's important because you have so many fan base. I know when I went out to see a fight in Madison Square Garden, they would just put those gloves out there, and they would tell you, hey, these are $500 gloves, and people would just buy them up. I saw that you had a Robert Garcia collection as far as the boxing. So you're basically hitting every angle, whether it's music, whether it's any type of form of entertainment. I know I saw a couple of pictures of Cristiano Ronaldo. So these are things that, to me, it's the future of collectibles, right? And during an inflationary period or a deflationary period, the good thing about these collectibles is that they really don't go up value. It's just people with value will pay the value that they deem it's worth. So I think that that's something that you're hearing guys like Gary Vee talk about. NFTs is basically the future. And not only that, now I'm seeing that banks are going to start incorporating as far as collateral when they start selling their real estate. So it's something that I think has just so much of a vast kind of opportunity for so many people. A lot of people lost money when they were making out their content and putting it out, and they had to go through a middleman, right? They had to go through a record label in order to sell their product. Now they don't, right? So this is something that I really like as far as what you guys are doing. Now let's talk a little bit about the GDET. I saw that you guys were marketing, to me, I don't know if it's proprietary, but a card that's going to be labeled on one side, or it's going to have the opportunity to pay through fiat, right? Dollars, and also crypto. Can you speak briefly about that? And if you guys have any connections, because I noticed that you had mentioned going to the casino and talking about MGM Grand. Can you just touch a little bit on that? Mr. Lawrence Adams, Mr. MCap Wire, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you doing?
Good, good. So we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with Mr. Lawrence Adams. Right now we're talking to Mr. Mark Newbauer, head of MCap Wire. And first off, I just want to thank you for joining us. And by the way, thank you for retweeting me. I know when we did that video on your company, you actually gave us a shout out for putting out that video. Really like what you guys are doing, by the way, with the wires. You guys are almost becoming like the Benzingas of OTC markets, and it was much needed, by the way.
Well, that's our goal, and thank you so much for having us and for paying attention. It's this kind of synergy in the markets that we thrive on and that we really, work to cultivate. It's all about relationships, and that's in anywhere in life, right? So it's these kind of really impactful relationships that we love to cultivate when and where we can.
Right.
So
you guys got a great team, right? So you guys are basically, you work under IMTL, right? We have the NFT aspect through IMTL. We heard a little bit from Mr. Lawrence Adams. And now you're basically the side of information release, right? Or how to disseminate information. Just tell us a little bit how you joined the team and what you're doing with MCap Wire, if you can.
Well, I'll tell you, we do. We have a very small but powerful team here. We're a real trifecta. Myself, Mark Newbauer, our head of business development, Miss Preya Narain, and our account manager, which is really that title does not do service to everything that Thomas does, but Thomas Wolf, Thomas and I have known each other for 15 years, and he's really as much to credit for the growth of our company as anybody. So that said, and then you had Larry, and Larry was just the cherry on top.
Right.
For real. This is something that I'm extremely passionate about, and something that has been in the works for the last 11 years, if I might, under the OTC PR Wire brand.
Wow.
So I'm a CEO on the other side of things, and have dealt with CEOs for quite some time. And one of the first things I noticed in getting into this side of the industry was that CEOs in the microcap space and in the OTC space were really just not being served the way that I believe they deserve to be, and the way that they need to be. This is a very different animal than the larger exchanges. And many companies in this space have amazing people, amazing opportunities, amazing products, and are fully functional in an operational manner, but maybe just don't have the, the budget to, to be featured in certain places that could add impact to what they're doing. So our goal is each and every day, how can we serve the clients, right? How can we make the clients shine? And how can we be more than just disseminating news? And truly, just so I can give shareholders a vision as to what we're achieving here. The reason I mentioned OTC PR Wire is this was truly just a side hustle, for lack of a better term, of mine 10 years ago.
Right.
And Thomas and I, again, had known each other for about 5 years before that. And we started working together with a couple of people who needed my help writing press releases. And soon thereafter, I thought, well, we can write them, we can disseminate them. So we got a reseller account through a company that no longer exists, Mac Report Media. And again, we were just a small operation with maybe a dozen clients we were helping out, and realized just how much of a gap there was between companies in the microcap markets and OTC markets, these nano-cap markets, and the bigger exchanges, and how they could be served. And there weren't too many people out there, if any, that really wanted to serve them as their bread and butter. So unlike any company out there like us, I mean, any company, you name it, New MediaWire, Access Wire, Globe News Wire, Business Wire, Newsfile, I mean, you name it, none of them specialize in the OTC microcap space. They service them, but they don't look at them as closely as we do, in my opinion. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not knocking anybody's business model. They've got some really great stuff going on at these companies. But what we do that's a lot different is we have committed to focusing on, the 10,000 plus companies and issuers in this space, and really helping them make the most of their story. So, as you mentioned, I mean, humble thanks to you for saying, we could be the Benzinga of our kind here. I truly believe that's the case, and I want shareholders to know, how, you asked how did this become a thing. It is the evolution of what we started at OTC PR Wire. And when Larry Adams, who initially was a client of ours for press releases, started noticing some of the things we were doing, and we got to talking, I mentioned to him, my goal is to build a full-on, suite for companies in this space, including a streaming network, an app, where we could host shareholder meetings, CEO interviews. We've got a lot of people in this space that charge an arm and a leg and then some just to feature somebody, right?
Right.
And that works, but I think it's an antiquated model, and I believe firmly that if you are to truly serve and grow, impact has to come before income. And in our business, many times over, it seems to be the other way around. Everybody wants to charge for this and that, and if it doesn't work out, well, sorry, it didn't work out. Well, now that company's out $5, $10, $15, $25,000 in operational income or marketing budget that could have served them exponentially. And so we decided, and thank God for Larry. Larry had the foresight to see what we were doing and was willing to take on what appeared to be a potential loss leader. And we've turned that all around. I mean, now we've come in with, no liabilities. We have well over $500,000 in revenue last year, and on track for that and then some this year. And all the while are, picking up new clients every week. So the NFT space is truly exciting, and there are a lot of great things that I know that we can do collectively there.
Right.
But all the while, we're going to have this foundational, fundamental operations and income supporting the companies all the while. And in that, serving other companies like ours in the microcap space like nobody else is doing.
Right, and I think that a lot of our listeners should understand that for the most part, OTC markets is somewhat considered fringe. You have a lot of these brokers that don't carry them. You have a Webull, Robinhood, that they kind of refrain from it, but you have a massive amount of, I guess you could say just clients. I mean, a lot of people like to trade OTC stocks. And part of the most important part to me is that dissemination of information, and you guys are doing that. If you look today, 871 million in volume in the OTC markets. Now, some of these companies are up and coming. They have to be able to put out their information. And I think that you guys do a great thing when you guys pack up and are able to put out news for these companies. Now, can you explain briefly if a company wants to get, a hold of you guys to put out a press release? That's what they do, and that's what they pay for your services, correct?
And that's right. That's our bread and butter. Now we do many things, and we'll continue to increase our offerings. But yes, let's say somebody wanted to get started with us. It's very simple. All they've got to do is go to MCapMediaWire.com and click on the Get Started tab. There, they'll fill out a simple application, ticker symbol approval, so that we know that they are who they say they are. We vet everything with OTC markets, and now they're authorized to put out press through us. And what I'd like to say, and thank you so much for the opportunity, what I'd like to say, really sets us apart, and I'm going to say something that may not be obvious to everyone,
right.
But you look at our competitors or people like us, companies like ours, etc. If you're just doing press release dissemination, good luck. We're all doing pretty much the same thing.
Right.
I mean, everybody can boast about, well, we get here and we get there. And I can, on that note, say that we just added the Moody's network. I mean, Moody's Financial is now part of our network, and that's 900 additional outlets that many of our competitors don't offer. But if you're talking about the Yahoo Finance, E-Trade, Ameritrade, most people get there. Not everybody gets the trading software like we do. Not everybody offers photos for free like we do, or unlimited words and things like that. But for the most part, you want to hit Yahoo Finance and the major brokerage firms, just about anybody will do. What really sets us apart is that our pricing is comparable to any other provider in the stratosphere here, and or the ecosystem, if you will. But what we do is we go above and beyond the dissemination to create and cultivate engagement, right? I mean, you and I are on this together because we're engaging about companies that we serve right on Twitter each and every day, right?
Right.
The bigger companies, even the ones we resell for, the Globe Newswires, the EQS, Business Wire, things like this, they can get the dissemination, but they're not engaging these markets, these investors. I mean, we just about a week ago, we just launched a TikTok channel, which recaps our news and our tickers there.
Right.
We'll be permeating Reddit in the very near future, and all the while, we're on the social media networks like nobody else in our ecosystem. And it really is all about engagement. Anybody can put out a press release, but if nobody's driven to Yahoo Finance to read it, then you just spent $300-400 and even more with some other providers for what? To meet disclosure. But if you want to engage and if you want to create a fan base, then you got to get the word out there, and you got to have other people talking about it. And that's what I think we really do best. Is we really strive to cultivate engagement among this community above and beyond just the company news. And soon, mark my words, we will be the definitive company in this space that not only companies and issuers go to for services, but shareholders and investors go to for reliable information that people aren't paying for. When we start, when Prey and I start doing shareholder meetings, CEO interviews, we're not charging for this stuff, right? We're doing it because we want to get the news out there. And that is our sweat equity that we're putting in as a loss leader for a company that's already generating revenues each and every day of the week. no matter what happens with anything else, we will always have this fundamental income. And it's been growing year after year, year over year since inception.
Right, and you mentioned something that's truly really important, especially in the OTC markets, is you need a reliable source. Shareholders, what they had tendencies, especially how the OTC right now is kind of cracking down with companies that are putting out bad press releases, or sometimes people outright shareholders will create fake press releases and then put them out and then get people to buy stocks and then formally the companies the day after will say, hey, this isn't my filing, this isn't my press release. So I really think that the most important part of that dissemination of news is trust, because like no other, I'll tell you this, OTC markets is about that confidence and that trust in the market, because I've seen it plenty of times where you'll see a press release and you don't know if it's an advertisement. You know what I mean? And on top of that, I'm going to go out and hopefully I don't, step on people's toes. There's some companies that just don't know when to send the press release. Press releases have a marketing aspect to it as well. You'll see some people put out a press release on a Saturday when nobody even cares. You understand?
Yes.
So
yes.
Definitely understand your point. And again, like right now, MCap to me, it's a go-to Twitter feed that I like to look at in the morning. So I just want you to know that I specifically look at your Twitter feed to see what's going on in the market.
Oh, I can't thank you enough, and that it means so much even personally. I mean, Thomas has been with me since pretty much day one, and the X factor that Preya has already added in just these first few months of rebranding. I mean, the rebrand shows this is a company that's been around for about 3 months. But again, this is 10 years of work in the making. We have over 6,700 Twitter followers, and it's growing every single day. You're looking at Globe Newswire, which is who we do resell through. I mean, they've got great distribution. But my point is, I think they've got about 1,000 followers, and they're a global conglomerate, We've got 6,700 followers, all targeted in this space, that come to us to look for news. So I almost wish we were just talking to clients right now, right? Because it's the clients that we truly seek to serve, and as a byproduct, we've eventually been serving shareholders then more than ever. And now that's become a focus, because we realize the more that we can serve investors with trustworthy news, as you mentioned, and in a way that's non-promotional and is simply informational, but promotes engagement and cultivates relationships and synergies, that's where the magic happens. And that's something that we do that you just can't put a price on. I mean, we have over every time that a company puts an image in their press release, for instance, which we offer for free, we get over 3,000 views per image. I mean, people are clicking on these things. And these are something that other churches services are upcharging for. So thank you for letting me be so enthusiastic about this, but it's not often that we get to talk about, what we do. We're a boring old news company that puts out press releases, right? But there's so much more behind it. And I think as we begin to cultivate more and more engagement through some of the processes that we're putting in place, again, much thanks to Pray and Narain. She's a true goddess of this industry, and we're blessed to have her on the team. We're going to be knocking it out of the park with shareholder meetings, town halls, CEO interviews, and things that are really not only going to benefit the issuers directly, but the communities that have to make big decisions as to whether or not they're going to invest in these companies and follow them.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah. And the microphone's back, so I think it was a Twitter thing.
Yeah, I think that this is one of the reasons why I think this is a good sign, because if you're going to start doing these interviews, I think there has to be somewhat of a platform for this, because Twitter is very, very undependable for this kind of stuff.
Well, and that's why we're forming MCap Plus, just a streaming network devoted solely to this kind of stuff. It'd be like the CNBC for the OTC and microcap space, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to get Mr. Lawrence Adams to just come back on real quick. I definitely, like what you guys are doing as far as, the media and also the NFTs. Overall, I think that it's a space that's just being tapped into. It's in its infancy, what you guys are doing. And what I like too is just the risk to reward, right? Because you're noticing, as far as the technical perspective that I'm seeing, the stock continues to get buys, and you guys have such a following on social media. People are really getting behind your company. So it's exciting to see what you guys are going to do. I'm actually looking forward. I hope that you guys can come up with something where, we can get some type of dialogue going and transparency with management from these companies.
That would be amazing, and I can't thank you guys enough. That's truly a blessing to have you in our circle.
Are you guys planning to do some type of a YouTube channel or anything of that sort? For maybe potentially do a couple of interviews with some CEOs or management of companies? Because I think that would be a game changer. Yeah.
Absolutely. As we are building out the network, the exclusive format for a lot of the stuff we want to do on our own network, we're going to be taking advantage of things like YouTube, Facebook Live, Q&As on Reddit, things like this. And for instance, Preya and I were just having our weekly strategy meeting a couple days ago, and we're going to be hosting CEO interviews on YouTube and shareholder meetings via Facebook Live, so that we can be on Facebook talking to a CEO and have questions coming in from shareholders. A lot of this stuff, it's funny, a lot of CEOs even, and God bless them, they've got enough to do, but
of course
they don't realize we've got the world in the palm of our hand. All of us, right? We've got access to it anyway. So we're going to start working with management of companies to really let them express their message above and beyond the press release. Press releases are currently our bread and butter because press releases are a great, effective way to get the word out. But as a colleague of mine once pointed out, press releases haven't changed since the very first press release 100 years ago, which was about a train wreck, actually. But if you look at the very first press release ever issued about this train wreck versus the press release today, they're really not any different. Meanwhile, technology is going to be accelerating in the next 5 years faster than it has in the last 100. That's a fact. And anybody who's not going to get on board with that is going to fall behind, much like Kodak did when video replaced film and they said, nope, we're going to stick with film. Well, okay. But honestly, multimedia is where it's at, and that's why you're going to see in most of our advertising and marketing to issuers, these guys that want to, pinch pennies between who can, save the most money on a press release, okay, but you're going to go the way of Kodak and the Condor. But if you want to go with the company who, for about the same price as a press release from any other company, is going to encourage you to put a link to a video, create a video, links to photos, things that are going to last and create a legacy for you online, that's what's going to exponentially grow your fan base. And right now, and for the foreseeable future, fan base is where it's at, right? It's about building a tribe. It's about building people that can trust you for the long haul. And in order to do that, you can't just be this, living press release to press release, just like living paycheck to paycheck. You put out news and people want to know what's next, right? But you put out news in an impactful way with multimedia that permeates the space, which is what we specialize in. You're going to be a lasting brand as long as you're doing your job.
Right. And I think that's what there's a void for, especially in the OTCs. Are you primarily just doing OTCs, or are you guys also in like smaller caps? And because I know you mentioned Moody's, so is this just an OTC thing for you guys, or how are you guys?
Thank you. That's a great question. We'll serve anyone that wants to work with us and is doing the right thing, right? So, for instance, Splash Beverage is a great client to mention. They're a beverage company that came to us on the OTC Pinks, quickly were NASDAQ, and now they just uplisted to the New York Stock Exchange. And they still use us loyally because they love that they get boutique service, right? They can, their head of management can text me or give me a call any time of day, say, hey, we got a release coming out tomorrow. Can you look at it? Can you see if it's improved any? Or could improve any with the headline change, this or that. And Thomas is Johnny on the spot. I mean, I don't know if Thomas even sleeps. I hope he does for his health, but he's always on it for these clients. So to answer your question, we market to as a specialty service for OTC and microcaps. But at the end of the day, as I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, at the end of the day, they all need the same thing. They need exposure, they need engagement, and they want to tell their story. That's what we excel at. So we often have companies on larger exchanges coming to us, and once they find that we can do what the others can do and then some, we can secure the business. But as Gary Vee, who you mentioned on the NFT side, I mean, I love it. Gary Vee said the riches is in the niches, right? This is a niche which we love, we're passionate about, because this is where a lot of really big companies start out, and some even stay, many stay. And I love what OTC Markets is doing to clean up the space. This new amendment with the SEC is going to have a slew of companies forced into transparency and compliance in a way like never before. And we get to target and service those companies in a way they've never been served before.
Well, I'm looking forward to you guys. I mean, we're kind of running short on time, but make sure that you guys are following MCap MediaWire. I know it's something that I personally use to look for news. You can find them at MCap MediaWire. Looking forward to them. You're hearing it first here. They're working on more bigger things, and I'm looking forward to your growth and your timely success.
Well, I can't thank you enough, and the only thing I'd love to plug, if they will, is just about any social media, from Facebook to TikTok to LinkedIn, /MCap Media is the way to get us. So please like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff.
There you go. All right, guys, I really appreciate it. If you can, just thank Mr. Lawrence Adams. I know we were having some technical difficulties. We still managed to get great information. I'm liking the stock setup. Right now, what we're noticing is massive accumulation. IMTL closed above the 200 and the 8-day moving average. Okay, these are key. With the interview, I expect that we should see a move higher tomorrow. Remember, in this kind of market, what you want to do is you want to find a company that's going to be fully transparent and putting out great news. Look, you can't get any more news than MCap Media right now. So this is the type of company that will press release and will continue to press release. So this is a company that I'm looking forward to seeing how high they go. So thank you all, and until the next one, take care, everyone.
Thank you so much.